Hello, and welcome to our webinar. Today's topic is part one of a two-part series in which we discuss some HR consulting tips. This first section will discuss and include information on the best practices for hiring and terminating employees. To introduce myself, my name is Jake Hartline, and I was born and raised in the small town of Salem, Utah. I graduated from Western Governors University with a bachelor's degree in HR, and I have 4 years of experience within the HR industry. I am a husband and a father. Recently, I had my second child, a sweet little boy, to go along with his 3-year-old older brother. I love being a husband and a father, and it's something that I cherish deeply. Additionally, outside of work, I love to read and write, as well as I'm a big fan of football, and as I like to say, anything nerdy, whether that's Star Wars, Marvel, or just other content. The first topic we will cover today is terminations. To start off, why do we terminate employees? What causes us to let someone go? The most common reason is poor performance or work ethic. The individual just doesn't perform well at their job and is constantly making errors. They become more of a liability than an asset to the company. Some other reasons can include poor communication skills or unreliability, toxicity, harassment, illegal activities, and layoffs due to financial distress or strategic development. There is no best way to fire someone. Regardless of what you do, it will not be the funnest experience, and the end result is that you are taking someone's job away. However, there are methods that can help to either ease the blow or show professionalism from the company's standpoint. I will cover those in the next few slides. To start, show empathy. The best method when terminating an employee is to show empathy. It is important to understand that they are going to be hurting. Remember, this is their livelihood. Regardless of reason, terminations are embarrassing for the one being fired. It essentially lets them know they are not doing a good job. I'm not trying to scare you away from terminations, but I am trying to shed some light on how it feels for them. Be compassionate in your tone and don't invalidate their emotions. At the same time, don't let them steer the conversation. Make sure you are in control as the company. Put yourself in their shoes. How would you feel if you were being terminated? Having that mindset can help you with your delivery. Next, be appreciative of what they have done for your company, even if it wasn't much. Think of the golden rule, treat others how you'd want to be treated. If someone were to leave your company, how would it make you feel if they had nothing positive to say about their experience or weren't appreciative of their time there? Similarly, this individual did work for you and should see similar appreciation. Don't oversell it, especially if they really didn't do much. But simply thanking them for their time and work that they did will allow the situation to end on a better note. When applicable, wish them well in their future endeavors. Wishing them well lets them know that it truly isn't personal, but a business decision. This might not work in situations where tensions are high and they are volatile, but in a calm collective state, I would recommend wishing them well and thanking them for their work. Be firm but sincere. It is far too easy to be a pushover. What is a pushover? A pushover is someone who is easy to overcome or influence. Why do I tell you this? Our next tip is to be firm but sincere. Individuals who are not confident in their decision or timid usually get walked over in the termination process by the individual they are terminating. With this in mind, let your terminated employee know the decision is final. They more than likely will want to know the why. Wouldn't you? Before you even begin the termination, have in mind what it is that you are terminating them for. Be clear in what you are saying. KISS. Keep it super simple. The KISS method is often used when dealing with difficult or complex situations. At the end of the day, keep the terminations short and simple. Don't over-explain why they are being terminated. Feelings are heightened and will only be made worse through continual discussions of why someone is being fired. Cover the theory without going into the minor details. I recommend getting them out of the door or off the property sooner rather than later. This doesn't mean dragging them off, but it does mean politely escorting them out the door, ensuring that they don't spread negativity as they leave. Although they have friends potentially at work, avoid letting them say goodbyes. It could cause an unwanted scene. They can reach out to their coworkers on their own time outside of work. You can still be empathetic, appreciative, and sincere while keeping it short. Now that we have covered some of the best methods, let's go over things to avoid when firing individuals, or, as I like to call it, the worst ways to terminate. Starting off, being discriminative. The biggest labor commission complaint received upon termination was that it was done discriminatively. As our world evolves, the concepts of protected classes continue to rise. Protected classes include age, ancestry, color, disability, ethnicity, gender identity or expression, genetic information, HIV and AIDS status, military status, national origin, pregnancy, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, or veteran status. Ask yourself the following question: is the termination based on merit, or is it in any way related to a protected class? If so, avoid the termination. Whether we want to admit it or not, sometimes we just don't like someone. Personal bias means that you are firing someone based off your opinion of their work or who they are over factual evidence of poor performance. I have often seen times where managers fire an employee based off of more of a personal vendetta than any real evidence showing they aren't performing well. The risk of this is a retaliation lawsuit. A retaliation is when an employer punishes or terminates an employee for a legally protective activity, such as submitting a complaint or consulting with a wage or hour investigator. Employees have the right to complain, and being fired based off that complaint could lead to something more serious. Is your termination a logical or emotional response? Are you bothered because perhaps the complaint was directed at how you run things? Do you have the hardcore fact and evidence that they are not performing their job? These are questions I would ask before making that termination. Overpromising is the biggest issue when it comes to the sales world. Promising something that can't be delivered on destroys the credibility and trust between the seller and the buyer. Similarly, overpromising when terminating establishes a false sense of hope. Avoid saying things such as, "If it were my decision," or "I really didn't want to do this." Half of the time, it was your decision, and if it wasn't, it was a decision that was made and is final. Saying things of those nature will get a response such as, "Well then don't fire me," or "Who made this decision?" which can back yourself and the company into a corner. Terminations are hard enough. Be careful with your words. They can be used as weapons. Professionalism is key with terminations. Avoid degrading terms, derogatory comments, and vulgar languages. Do not reciprocate the feelings of the employee if they are angry, and diffuse the situation by maintaining your composure. Remember, we are only as good as our emotions. If we lose our cool and are unprofessional, we risk escalating the situation unnecessarily. Additionally, if we are unprofessional, it could legally turn back on us, especially if we say something that we shouldn't. Maintaining your cool will help you in all situations within your company, but especially terminations. It will also leave a lasting impression on the ones you let go if you are not professional, and could lead to bad reviews and even lost customers. We have talked about why we fire someone and the best and worst methods of doing so. Now that we have moved on from those, let's dive into the how. How do you know if you should terminate someone? They have a history. They have a history of disciplinary actions, whether verbal or written. These individuals have been pulled aside often to discuss their performance or behavior. Have they taken these warnings to heart? Are they coachable? Those questions will be important because if they aren't learning from their warnings and are continuing to make the same mistakes, it probably means they are not coachable or aren't going to change. It isn't worth keeping someone if they will not get out of their bad habits. Have they received any warnings about their behaviors? There are a few behaviors that are immediate terminations, and those ones tend to fall on more of a harassment/illegal behaviors. Otherwise, they should be given the opportunity to fix their mistakes, as they might not know what they are doing. Or they need to be caught to stop what they are doing because perhaps they think they can get away with it. Give your employees the benefit of the doubt and talk to them about their behaviors before terminating them. Are they a time suck? A time suck is someone that constantly needs their hand held. They either continue to mess up at work or need to talk often with their managers, taking them away from their jobs. If someone is constantly needy and you spend more time correcting or fixing their problems, it is time to let them go. An employee who is a constant problem creator will make more issues than not with your customers, leading to poor customer service and potential lost revenue. Time sucks can be great people too, but at the end of the day, you will be grateful to move on from them. Are your employees toxic? Imagine for a second if your guests heard some of the things that your employees have said. What would their reaction be? That alone will help you to know if your employee could be toxic. Oftentimes, toxicity is from burnout, and perhaps having your employee take some days off could reset their attitude. There are times, though, where this doesn't work, and they continue to be a negative influence on you and your staff. In these situations, it is best to let them go. If they are the culprit of spreading rumors, gossip, or negativity in the workplace, they are not worth keeping. You should talk to them first before firing, but if it is a continual offense, it isn't worth it. Toxic employees can cause others to quit because of them. Do you want to risk losing your good, high-performing employees for your toxic, underperforming ones? Lastly, is it worth it? This may seem silly, but genuinely, how hard would it be to replace their role? What would the cost of replacement and training be? Perhaps what they are doing is annoying and even a mistake, but if the employee has other good qualities about them or does some things right, maybe it is best to give additional coaching instead of termination. On average, it costs nearly $4,000 to hire and train a replacement. Think of the hours you will be spending hiring, training, and mentoring someone new when you could instead just correct the behavior of someone who currently works for you. Especially if we are in an employee market, it may be harder than you think to replace that person. On the other hand, if you can see plenty of benefit and relief from letting someone go, that is your sign. If the pain of finding a replacement seems worth it, if it means the employee is gone, it is time to replace them. Before I move on to the next topic, here are some helpful tips. The first is learn from your terminations to create a better exit in the future. What did you do wrong with your previous terminations? Did you drag it out? Were you unprofessional? Having some reflection can lead towards better exits in the future. Have a third party with you. They not only can evaluate how you terminate someone, but they are an extra security measure, especially if the person you are firing is a different gender than you. The third party can ensure that no discrimination is present and act as a witness for your performance. Keep the terminations private and not out in the open. Even if you are frustrated, don't fire them in the open. Make sure it is behind closed doors and maintain confidentiality. Finally, don't gossip. The other staff members are not entitled to know why the individual is terminated. Only discuss with your management team, or, if you do not have one, your trusted third party that is in with you on the terminations. Otherwise, they don't need to know. If they ask, just say something along the lines of, "It didn't work out," or "We wish them the best, but it wasn't a fit at this time." Our final topic for today will be hiring and how to develop a strong hiring process. Oftentimes in the world of HR or recruiting, we are asked, "What's your hiring process like?" Or, "How do you feel your hiring process is going?" But what actually is a hiring process? A hiring process is a step-by-step method that allows you to figure out who you are going to be bringing into the company. It is tricks or methods that can get applicants in the door and weed it out to find the ones that match the vision and mission of what you are trying to create. Why should I have one? I would argue a lot of companies do not have a set process. They more or less wing it. Now, if it works for you, it works for you. However, an effective process not only can save you time and money, but it is more likely to find a candidate who is better suited for your company. Having a thorough understanding of your process can also increase your chances of retaining the individual who you hire. What should your process be? Typically, hiring processes should be specific to the vision and goals of the organization. I will present some tips that I have personally had success with, but I encourage you to think back on moments that you have succeeded in hiring and what you were doing during that time to succeed. We will start with getting your job out there. Exposure leads to applications. In order for you to hire, you need applicants. Utilizing job sites will help. We recommend Indeed and LinkedIn for your roles. For those who can afford to, on Indeed, you are able to put money aside each month to sponsor your job, which helps it appear higher in the rankings. Not a ton of people search through pages and pages of jobs to find roles. Oftentimes, those are the ones who are the most desperate for a job, and they are desperate for a reason. They might not be the best worker. If your property only needs summer roles, I recommend reaching out to local high schools and colleges. They usually have job boards that the jobs can be placed on, as well as having the teachers recommend students for the roles. You also could offer a paid internship program. It is relatively easy to sign up with a college as an internship partner where students can use their college credit to work for you. You also could go to career fairs. Most colleges offer career fairs, usually one in the fall and one in the spring. It is a great opportunity to get a pool of candidates for your roles. ResNexus has gone to career fairs specific for software developers, and we have even hired a couple of those prospects from those fairs. Employee referral programs can help to incentivize your employees to recommend people for jobs at your establishment. We personally offer a $250 referral bonus for anyone who's referred and is in good standing after 60 days of employment. Next, establish minimum qualifications. Don't just hire to hire to evolve your business. Research some of the jobs in the same field to see what they are requiring for their roles. Ask yourself, are you willing to help someone relocate to your role, or do they need to be in the area? Are you willing to allow someone with a criminal background to work at your facility? Would you be willing to sponsor someone with a work visa? What is the lowest education level that you allow? What do your current employees do that you want more of or less of? Through asking questions, you can shape the type of person that you are looking to hire. The qualifications also are subject to change depending on the role that you are hiring for. If you are hiring a general manager, those qualifications would be different than a housekeeper. Conducting phone screening interviews can save you hours each week from in-person interviewing. Although the in-person interviews should be a part of the process, they can really be narrowed down through a phone call. It is the most effective way to sift through your candidates. These calls don't have to be long and honestly shouldn't be. They can be done in about 5 to 10 minutes on average. During this time, I suggest coming up with 5 questions to ask. A lot can be determined by a phone interview. Phone presence is the first major sign, especially considering a good amount of your employees will be on the phones at times with guests. Desire for the role can be made evident as they will showcase energy and enthusiasm upon talking with you. You could also ask them what they know about your property to see if they've done any research on the role or the company. You could also ask them what they know about your property to see if they have done any research on the role or the company. Additionally, asking them why they left or are leaving their prior jobs could help see who is a toxic employee waiting to happen or a poor worker. Finally, leave a voicemail if they don't answer. With the increase in spam calls, people often will not answer calls for the numbers they do not recognize. The interested ones will call back. It is worth the effort of leaving a 30-second voicemail if it leads to hiring someone. Having clear role expectations will help you understand exactly what you are looking for in the role and honestly, if it is even needed. If the work can be divided up from that employee who is leaving, it can save you from needing to hire someone else. If the work being divided up is too overwhelming for the other employees to handle, then it would be necessary to hire. By understanding the expectations and responsibilities of the role will help you to determine if you have enough work to justify bringing on the individual. The measurements of success in a role are important. How can you tell if someone is performing well? In the sales world, they have key performance indicators, or KPIs for short. That is a number of sales per month that they need to hit to be successful. Whether that is number of sales, revenue sold, or time on the phone, having clear numbers for the sales team to hit allows them to be held accountable for times they miss. Similarly, having measurements of success for your roles will allow you to know if your employees are on par with what you are paying them for. Don't settle for the short term. Settling means hiring someone because they are the best of what is available, not the best that you can find. More times than not, settling for someone will lead towards having to hire again down the road. Short-term pain establishes long-term gain. Can your business endure for the right person? I understand that the economy isn't great right now, and hiring quickly can lead to more work being done. However, if you are settling, the work being done won't be as good as waiting for that person who gets your vision and the mission of your property. Not everyone is compatible with your company, and that is okay. When in doubt, repost the job. It is easier to start over the hiring process than hire someone who isn't right for the company. Become a recruiter by putting in the effort for those that you want. Be aggressive for those that you think will be a fit. Don't wait on extending them an offer. If they pass your requirements, get that offer out. If you have an Indeed page, have your staff review you. Company reviews are one of the best ways to attract candidates, as they often search the reviews for insight on how the company is run and what the employees think of it. Perspective can be beneficial too. Sometimes bad reviews can open conversations with the candidates on what you have done to address those reviews and make your company a better place. Search LinkedIn for those with similar roles and send them a message, such as, "Hey, I noticed your impressive background and thought you might be interested in the role we are hiring for." The final piece is to understand your market and whether or not it is an employer versus employee. These next few slides will cover just that. What is an employer market? Often during a down economy, it is labeled as an employer market for hiring. There tends to be less job openings, but more candidates looking for jobs. Because of this, businesses can afford to be a little more picky with their candidates. Companies do layoffs often during down economies, increasing the available workforce. If your business is looking to hire during a down economy, there's a good chance that you will see an increased amount in the candidates applying for your roles. What is an employee market? This is the opposite of the employer. During a booming economy, companies will need to fill roles, but won't have enough candidates to fill what they need. Because of this, they will offer a lot more to those who are willing to leave their jobs to go and work for them. Businesses financially perform better during this time, but also can find it harder to recruit. Recruiters will become more aggressive in their reach outs, and the companies will either overpay or increase benefits drastically to entice those to leave. There is the risk of a down economy occurring shortly after, and those employees who left their company might get laid off at their new employer, but that is often overlooked at the possibility of the short-term gain. So, why does this matter? Why should you care about the market that you are in? It can determine who leads the conversation. If you are in an employee market, candidates can be more demanding in asking for a higher wage or benefit. This is for good reason. They can find what they are looking for elsewhere during this peak. If you won't pay them what they are looking for, good chances are someone else will. This doesn't mean that they are worth that much, but companies are desperate to get workers in the door. Companies will go beyond the standard job posting. They will reach out directly to employees and discuss the possibility of working for them. I can't tell you how many I have either personally seen or heard of that have been recruited out of their jobs by other companies when they weren't even looking. On the other side, when you can afford to be picky based on it being an employer market, you can lead the conversation on your own pace, take the time needed to hire instead of trying to outrun the competitors. You also can be more firm in what you are looking for without any budging. My recommendation for each of you who have questions within HR is to reach out to an HR consulting firm where you can partner with these HR business partners to receive the feedback on how to best manage your employees. Additionally, if you have access to an employee law attorney, you can also reach out to those individuals. Thank you for taking the time to attend this webinar. I hope what was taught can be applied to your daily work lives. We will be doing a part 2 to this series, in which we will discuss motivators for employees of all ages and how to become an advocate for your employees.